The time is now 5:03 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back. You're tuned into the weekend edition of Iftar Drive right here on Salam Media. My name is Zahid Jadwat. This is the second hour of the show, and I'll be keeping you company right up until Iftar time in Johannesburg, at least, that is, which is around 20 past 6 this evening. Let's now move on to our next segment of the show, and we're going to be joined now by Maulana Bilal Milansi to speak about something really important. And this, of course, is part of our weekly series, a weekly feature on this show during the month of Ramadan. And this, of course, is a series that is meant to be speaking about some of the issues that are challenging the youth of today. Assalamu alaikum, Mulana, and welcome to Salam Media.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
How are you this afternoon, Mulana? The second day of Ramadan. How's the fast going?
Alhamdulillah. I would say we are fortunate. Allah His fadl and command and will that we are part of this Ramadan of 2023. May Allah accept from me and from you as well, and the listeners at large.
Yes, Mulana, so, of course, in 2023, there's a lot of challenges facing the Ummah, right? And especially when it comes to youth, young people like myself, I think we feel almost as though there are challenges being thrown at us from all sorts of directions, right? And today, I think what you wish to focus on particularly is the issue of identity. And I think in this day and age, it's really easy to get caught up and end up, being in a situation where you find yourself unable to understand your identity as a Muslim in particular. So I think let me hand it over to you now, Malana, to get started with this topic and to engage with us on this very important matter.
نعم جزاك الله. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Respected listeners, dear viewers, as well as my brother Zahid, may Allah Ta'ala accept your efforts. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All praises are indeed for Allah, who is the King of Kings, the Creator of everything. Peace and salutation be upon the beloved, our Master Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his noble family and companions. As you say it, that there are many challenges that youth are facing in today's time. And if we were to unpack all the challenges, then obviously time wouldn't really, won't have enough time to actually discuss everything. But since you've put a topic forward, which is Muslim identity, it is something of a major concern in our communities. It is something of a major concern in our communities, and there is a need to actually discuss and tackle these challenges. Before delving into the topic, I think it's very important for the youth to understand who they are, or who are we, in a sense that Allah Ta'ala has made us Muslims, and as Muslims we ought to carry ourselves in a particular way. Everything has an identity. Everything has an identity. But unfortunately, the only identity we know as youth is the identity that we all know of. Allah Ta'ala protect and preserve us.
Amen.
To start off, I would like to touch on the point of Iman firstly, and then we would delve into the topic, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala, or the scholars have written that inna fi dunya jannah, that in this world, or verily in this world, there is a Jannah. Verily in this world, there is a Jannah. من لم يدخلها فلا يدخل جنة الآخرة. And that person who hasn't experienced the Jannah of this world, or who hasn't entered the Jannah of this world, or who hasn't been made to enter the Jannah of this world, فلا يدخل جنة الآخرة. Such a person will not be able to enter the Jannah of the hereafter. And then the scholars go on to say, وَهِيَ جَنَّةُ الْإِيمَانِ. This Jannah is a Jannat of Iman. Is a Jannat of Iman. You know, the scholars have written that Al-Islamu dinun salih li kulli zamanin wa makan. That this deen, this religion, this Islam is not just a religion but a way of life. Al-Islamu dinun salih li kulli zamanin wa makan. Islam is the most righteous religion of all times and all spaces. لا تصلح الدنيا بغيره. The world will never ever come right without Islam. The world will never ever come right without Islam. The issue the world is facing is nothing more than is an issue that can be solved by none other than the religion of Islam. Only if us as youth we would have understood what it means to be a Muslim or what this Iman really means. In one quotation, it is written that لو يعلم الملوك ما نحن فيه من السعادة لجادلونا بالسيوف. If the kings knew the sweetness that we as believers experience because of this Iman, لجادلونا بالسيوف, they would have fought us with their swords. They would have fought us with their swords, with their machine guns, with whatever they have as tools to fight an enemy. So, as we speak, we know already the whole world is fighting Islam. The whole world is against Islam because of its moral ethics as well as value, because of the way it teaches a person how to be different from that of an animal, because it makes a person to be upright. It 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 basically paves the path towards goodness. It's the Siratul Mustaqim, the right or the straight way or the straight path. So this is what Islam is. Only if we as youth would have understood, if we would have understood what Islam means, then we wouldn't be actually talking or discussing issues such as identity, because we would have identified ourselves as Muslims. We would have we would have been feeling proud and boastful regarding our religion, Islam. Unfortunately, it's not the case. May Allah Ta'ala protect us. Now,
All right, it seems as though we've lost the connection with Malana Bilal Milansi. Of course, he was speaking about a very pertinent issue in today's day and age, and that, of course, relating to identity as Muslims, as young Muslims. And, Malana was actually speaking about, oh, I think we've got Malana back on the line. Uh, Okay. No, not yet. So, yeah, as Malana was speaking just before we lost him, in this day and age, it seems as though there is an attack on all fronts on our identity as a Muslim. And Malana was saying, making the very important point right there about,
no.
the Malana, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Yes, sir.
You're back. Okay. I'll let you take the platform once again.
Jump back. All right, no problem. So after having discussed what Iman is and the importance of this faith, or to understand what Iman really is, then we go on to the verse of the Holy Quran where Allah Ta'ala says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. That who can be best in speech than the one who مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ, than the one who invites towards Allah. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا, and he does righteous deeds. So it's not just what you call talk saviors, but rather implementing as well whatever we say. So in other words, we walk the talk. So ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين. Who can be better than that person who calls towards the path of Allah, who calls towards Allah, وعمل صالحا, and he does righteous deeds, وقال إنني من المسلمين, and he says, I am a Muslim. I am a Muslim. So there's no one that can be better than such a person who recognizes himself as a Muslim, who identifies himself amongst the Muslims. Now, this word, this statement here, innani min al muslimin, he says, verily, innani, verily, I am from amongst the Muslims. Now, to be Muslim in many ways, like for example, innani min al muslimina fil af'al. I identify myself as a Muslim according to my actions. Innani min al muslimina fil aqwal. I identify myself as a Muslim in my speech. The way I speak, I talk, the way I walk, the way I do things is totally different. It makes me unique. It makes it different from every other human being that is not Muslim. إنني من المسلمين في الأحوال كافة. إنني من المسلمين في الأحوال كافة. In all circumstances, in all situations, in all conditions, I am Muslim and nothing but Muslim. So the main thing that we as youth or we as Muslims fail to do is to identify ourselves as Muslims, to call a person, you find a person is in a working place environment, or you are in a university, and perhaps you dress in a particular way, nothing wrong as long as you're not breaking any type of Sharia laws, etc. You are dressed in your suit and tie, etc. And people, when they see you, they just think of any other person, normal person. But you yourself, if you say and you tell the other people that, you know what, I am a Muslim, so you identify yourself amongst the Muslims, then people will really appreciate that as well. But most of the time, it's peer pressure. We're scared. No, just now they'll call me names, etc. We'll come to that part, inshallah. Now, there's something which is very important for us to understand as youth. There is nothing bad in being different, in being unique, in being um, in being unique in your own way. So the Prophet ﷺ has taught us that طوبى للغرباء, that goodness, glad tidings to those who are strange. Glad tidings to those who are strange. In today's time, people don't want to be strange anymore. People don't want to be um, different. It's like everyone does it, therefore I'm also doing it. You know, like the people of the past, the people of Musa alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, they'll say, قالوا وجدنا آباءنا كذلك يفعلون. We found our forefathers doing this particular action or this particular thing, thus we're also doing it. So they saw people doing and they did. So they see and they do. They see and they do. We as youth as well in today's time, we see things and then we do. We don't ever differentiate. We don't differentiate ourselves to the current norms. We don't try to understand that our deen is complete. Our deen is full of everything, all in one. It's an all-in-one religion. Whatever you have is something valuable, something that is very, that's something that's to be treasured. So if you are looking different amongst the majority, it does not make you wrong. It just makes you unique. It does not make you wrong. It just makes you unique. Now, when we talk of the ayat that I had read, that innani min al muslimin, when you identify yourself among the Muslims, then we had mentioned that Muslim in what way? Fil af'al, in my actions, in my condition, in whatever circumstance, whatever situation I'm in my words, I am a Muslim. Why? Because deen in its entirety is akhlaq. Deen in its entirety is akhlaq. It is adab. Um, there's a writing in one of the books I was reading. Say, الدين كله أدب وحياء. الدين كله أدب وحياء. Deen in its entirety is nothing but etiquette. It is nothing but adab, akhlaq. And then to define what akhlaq is, what akhlaq is, to define what akhlaq is, um, the scholars have mentioned that akhlaq is a set of rules and principles that govern human behavior or human life. Without this set of rules are Shari'i rules, so rules that the Sharia has put forth for us to follow and abide by. So if we don't follow these principles, these rules, then we will not be able to govern our lives, nor will we able to behave in a manner expected from us to behave by our Allah, our Creator. So deen in its entirety is adab, is its etiquette. Now, as a believer, there are many ways to identify yourself as a Muslim, not necessarily through libas only, but because it's something that can be seen, because it's something that can be seen, perceived from afar, from very far. You don't need to talk to a person to tell a person that I'm a Muslim if you are dressed like this. You don't need to tell a person that you are Muslim if you dress, you have your topi on your kalansua. You don't need to identify yourself as a Muslim if you carry yourself like a Muslim. So there are many ways through which one can identify himself or herself as a Muslim. Now, we can touch on many aspects regarding which one can identify he or herself as a Muslim. The part of wearing a kurta or kalansu or topi is something which outwardly appears. So, and the whole world identifies this type of dressing to be a Muslim dressing, which, and yes, true it is. So, without even having to say a word that innani min al Muslimin, I didn't have to say I am a Muslim, but you saw from my appearance that I am a Muslim. And in today's time, things are so easy. Before, a lot of youngsters would shy away from keeping a beard, for instance, from keeping a beard in the name of no, just like now I go to university and it call me like, oh, this maybe all Bali or something to that effect. We would shy away from such things. But in today's time, I mean, the world has recognized that keeping a beard is also fashion. More than that, keeping a beard also or shaving beard comes with its own effects, negative effects, um, diseases and sicknesses. But keeping a beard is of positive impact on the body, and Allah Ta'ala had made it so naturally. Now, that's just one aspect of how to identify yourself as a Muslim, and without having to feel awed in whatever environment you are in. You are at a university, you're keeping a beard. A lot of non-Muslims are keeping beards as well. If you dress in a kurta, etc., some people have taken kurta to be fashion. Some people have taken kurta to be fashion. When they see it, they love it. Oftentimes, I walk the streets of my township, and people will be seeing me in my libas, in my kurta, and oftentimes they'll say, "Oh, you know what, Mfundisi, we love what you're dressing. You look so presentable. Where can I get this?" I said, "But you're not Muslim." I said, "But I want to wear it, irrespective whether I'm Muslim or not." The man identifies himself as a non-Muslim, but he likes what Muslims wear. Why what Muslims wear, what people are liking as well. More than that, killing two birds with one stone. You are pleasing your Allah at the same time. You don't feel awed in your own community, in your own environment as well.
Hmm. Yeah. I
Then
think, yes, please to go on.
now,
Yeah, I think
okay.
that's
So
something that's
the
quite important. We often tend to feel as though we are out of place when we wear the
no,
the general attire of a Muslim. But there's also the thing of not falling into the trap of wearing it for the sake of fashion as well, right?
very true, Jeff. Very true. What we're saying is, at least you don't feel any odd because even the fashion world before they used to mock at kurtas or wearing libas, such long garments, etc. But nowadays they themselves have come back to the right path. They themselves have come back to the right path. Before then, it used to be an issue. No, hey, Muslims now, oh, they're in the building. Muslims are here now. They're wearing the long, they're very outdated, and so on, so many names as well. But in today's time, you even find pants before. we used to find it to be difficult to wear a trouser or pants that is not below the ankle. And when our teachers would tell us, fold your pants above your ankle, you used to feel odd, like, you know what will people say now? But in today's time, the fashion industry has recognized that putting pants above your ankles, that on its own is fashion. To us, it was fashion chosen for us by our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam way before fashion industries came about. This is the beauty of Islam. This is the sweetness of Islam. Whenever people think it's outdated, it's old, then it just becomes it just gets back to it conforms with the norms, because in Islam everything that in Islam will never ever be outdated. It is there for time or for lifelong serving till the day of judgment. It is there to last us. Whether we approve it or we don't approve it, it will always be relevant. It will always be relevant.
Mm. And I think that's a great way to, it's a good note to end that. To emphasize that very important point that you made. I know we started off this conversation saying that in today's age, it's actually quite a lot more difficult. But, as you mentioned, it's also a lot more easier to stick to your Muslim identity. I suppose then it just boils down to your own willpower, right? But yeah, I'd love to get into this to a greater
Very true.
extent, but unfortunately, we do not have the time for that this evening. But we will connect once again at the same time next week to also discuss another important matter pertaining to youth. But shukran so much, Malana. Thank you so much for your time, and stay safe until the next time we speak.
I mean,
All right, certainly a conversation I am looking forward to digging deeper into, something that actually, the way Milana puts it is really well. I quite enjoyed Milana's, little bit of advice for youth, especially when it comes to maintaining your identity in this day and age. Let's take an ad break. When we get back, we go to the Free State, that famous little town, Harrismith, as many of us might be aware of. They seemingly have some electricity trouble once again. So we'll speak to a resident just after this. Please do stay tuned.